Okay, so presumably how are you this fine morning?
I am doing fine. How about you?
Oh, pretty good, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Except you know that you realize Scott's going to top you because oh, there it comes. Okay, we got a little different
I
background.
had to come up with a new one.
Okay, all right, that works. Scott's down in Florida again, so he'll be at his place in Florida. You know,
well, I hope he's paying income tax down there. He's spending so much time down there.
Well, you know what? From having conversations,
I guess they don't have income tax in Florida.
Oh, here he is. You can harass him now, as I've just allowed him to enter into the meeting. I was just telling him, Mr. Norman, you're down in Florida again. Mr. Christ wants to know if you're paying Florida taxes yet. No, he's muted.
Wow. Not heard that before.
Whoa. There he is. Well, I was about to defend you a little bit, Scott, just to say this is relatively recent in you being down there so much. But what I was going to say is that you really want to move down there probably as soon as you can.
At least for the winter months.
There you go. Just like your mother and father, right?
Correct.
There you go.
I have no in-person hearings or appointments until I think sometime in May.
Oh, wow.
Man. How did you pull off that?
As I said to Nikki, I said, there's no reason for me to be in my basement in Columbus, Ohio, when I can be down here.
That's right.
I just want to know, Scott, if you have your short pants and sneakers on.
I have shorts on, no shoes, just some socks.
I don't think we need to see that. Thank you very much.
I'm not standing up.
Hello.
Hi there, Natasha.
How are you guys?
Good.
Everyone's well and good? Good.
Is that the world famous Otto Beatty over there? Ah, Otto.
Are you seeing? I'm not seeing Otto.
I see.
Good.
Yeah. Scott, are you making us jealous again this month?
Of course.
I am.
I'm
and
very
next,
happy
and then
for you.
that, I think.
Very happy for you. I was there over New Year's and it was wonderful. So,
you know, I actually drove down here with my son to bring a car down last Friday, and it's not been out of the 60s and been overcast since that time. Although today it's still overcast, but it's supposed to get up into the low 70s.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah, we got lucky. It was supposed to be in the low 60s and it was in the high 70s the whole time we were there. So, kind of hit a streak.
I'm looking forward to seeing that big yellow thing in the sky.
Yeah.
Scott, what part of Florida are you in?
Fort Myers.
Okay.
Which typically it would be warmer than that, right?
You know, they say January can be iffy because it's kind of their winter. And then it's February and March. It gets hotter and hotter.
Right. Yeah, we're in the panhandle, so it's always hit or miss whether you're going to be, you know, from November on, whether it's going to be nice or whether it's going to be kind of dreary. But it's still, you know, you can look at the Gulf, so I don't mind.
Yeah, we're supposed to be far enough south where we're supposed to have pretty decent most of the winter. But I mean, you can't complain about mid-60s.
Right. No, absolutely not.
I presume everybody, since I've got 5 of you here, although I'm not sure. Normally Otto comes in as Otto. He's not listed as Otto Beatty on my list of participants. I'm not sure what he's in under. But anyway, I presume everybody got all the various updates I have been sending, since I just sent some this morning again after having gotten the response from David Langdon and a couple of other, one in the mail and one Don McTighe sent me on another case. But the working agenda that I sent this morning captures all of them. It's about as updated as you can get. Mr. Bromer called a few minutes ago, said he was having a hard time finding his link. Chris was going to send him another one. He's the only one we're missing so far. Okay. And we are recording, so that's presumably started properly.
It doesn't show at the top of mine like it usually does.
It doesn't mind. It says you are recording this meeting. Be sure to let everyone know that they are being recorded.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't, but I did start it shortly before you got on. Maybe that's a
It usually displays right at the top of the screen saying this is being recorded, but I don't have it this time.
I don't either.
And I'm getting a different view this time. Usually I get a number of people, kind of like the Brady Bunch, and now I just get whomever is speaking.
Oh, really? Yeah. I've got like you just referred to it as the Brady Bunch here. Everybody. I've got a variety of different people looking back at me. What did you get, Ms. Tavares, with that background behind you with lockers?
I just went to the options and looked for virtual background, and it came up with a bunch of them.
I just got breaking news. Urban Meyer's has been hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He can't stay out of football.
He can't. He'll do well.
He will, but I just worry about his health.
I do too. I agree.
If you go to the commission's website, which is at elc.ohio.gov, and go to the January 14th, there will be a date there showing that we're having a meeting on the 14th. If you click on that, there will be a link there that will allow you to access the meeting. Okay, thank you. I'm already there. Most of the members are already here. But Urban Meyer was hired by who?
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Interesting. Well, I guess he gets sunshine.
It was purported he was also going to get $12 million a year.
Yeah, I saw that's what he was asking for. It'll be.
I would have gone back to work too.
Just 1 year.
Yeah.
Plus the #1 pick in the draft too.
Yeah. No, and watching like almost any Clemson game with friends, if you remember the Titans movie, Kelly Lawrence, Lawrence. Anyway, Clemson's quarterback looks like sunshine from that movie.
Phil, can you hear me?
Oh, Dennis, you're in.
Yeah.
I know.
When you send out that meeting notice where it has that green check to accept joining the meeting, it then goes away. And then they say they're supposed to notify you right before the meeting starts. Has anybody ever gotten a notification from them or from?
I do.
When I hit,
I do.
I do not, but when I hit accept, it automatically goes to my calendar and there's a link right on my calendar.
Right.
Nah,
it goes
I
to
didn't,
calendar.
I didn't check there.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah, see,
I stopped accepting it.
After I send that out, I can still go back in since I'm the one that set the meeting. I can go back in and click it because I've had those circumstances where I know what you're talking about. And the thing is, you click accept and that email that I sent you goes to your deleted file. At least in mine, it goes to your deleted file category in your emails. and you can go back and kind of re-access it through there, but it's like, why does it do that? That is just, to me, that's about the stupidest thing in the world in terms of trying to, get people lined up and accessing, and make sure they can get back into a meeting. That's Phil's personal opinion, at least.
Well, I've got Outlook, and obviously when I click it, Microsoft, it goes right to there and creates a link on my calendar for the particular date and time of the event.
I've got Outlook too, and I get a reminder back, but I don't necessarily always get a way to link back into the meeting, because I've had that on other Teams meetings that I've had. Yeah, that's why I'm sending everything to your Norman's email anymore, so that works for you.
Yep, I
All
appreciate
right, well, I
that.
guess everybody's here.
Is Otto on? I don't see him.
Yeah. Everybody else has said they've seen Otto. I haven't seen him, but normally I would see a OB, which is, I don't see that listed there. So,
Click on those three dots, and where it says gallery, large gallery, or together mode, and you can see more people.
Yeah, Election Commission can help you. If you go to ELC, there would be on the front page, there would be a listing of all the meetings of the commission, future meetings of the commission. January 14th is one of them. You would click on that, and then back behind there somewhere, I'm not looking at it myself, there would be a way to register to attend the meeting. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm going to give this to my.
I have a strong feeling that about the time we perfect this, it'll be time to go back together again.
For your sake,
Let's
Dennis, and
hope.
for those who have to travel, I'm hoping this continues because we get more people participating on meetings than we did in person.
Yeah,
That's
generally
true.
that's been the case. Generally, that's been the case. Right. Okay.
We ready to go?
John Doe, whoever John Doe is trying to attend.
All right,
All right.
I think we're ready to go. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the January 14th, 2021 meeting of the Ohio Election Commission to order. At this time, I would ask the Executive Director Richter to conduct the roll call.
Ms. Tavares,
Present.
Ms. Cunningham,
Present.
Ms. Kaufman,
Here.
Mr. Norman,
I am here.
Mr. Beatty,
Here.
Mr. Kreitz,
Here.
Chair Bromer.
Here.
All are present, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Prior to this meeting, all commissioners were provided copies of the last meeting held on December 17th. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, is there a
Mr.
motion?
Chair,
to
I move
approve?
approval of the regular meeting minutes of December 17, 2020.
This is Charlene. I'll second.
Motion made and properly second to approve the December 17th, 2020 meeting minutes. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. At this time, I would ask Executive Director Richter to take over the conduct of the meeting. Mr. Richter, if you would.
Well, I'm inclined initially to go to the first two preliminary reviews listed on the agenda: Obrensky versus Cleveland's Future Fund LLC, 2020D-023, and Obrensky versus Cleveland's Future Fund LLC, case 2020G-027. The first case is obviously a disclaimer case. The assertion is that either the respondent used a false or fictitious disclaimer on certain materials and did not include a proper disclaimer on other materials. The second case essentially asserts that Cleveland's Future Fund did not timely file any type of report whether it be organizing themselves as a PAC and then subsequently filing PAC reports, or whether they did not and should have filed a independent expenditure report. Just this morning, we received a response from counsel to the respondent that I've circulated to everybody, reviewed myself. In my synopsis of it is that they used a virtual address and that therefore it wasn't a fraudulent or improper address on the first four pieces as it relates to 2020D023. And then, but that there was a typo, as it was phrased in his response, and using the term foundation and not fund on one piece of material, but it was all from the same folks, and that we should use that. And that as it relates to case 2020G027, respondent just states that the LLC is acted as an independent expenditure organization, filed the proper reports, was not a PAC, was not obligated to either file a DOT or PAC reports, but that it did file independent expenditure reports and a overnight FedEx receipt was submitted that reflected a submission to the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. And so there, I've totally synopsized both sides. Mr. Langdon, who submitted that, indicated that he would not be present. But Mr. McTighe, who was counsel for the complainant, is present. And try to highlight Mr. McTighe because we all love to see Mr. McTighe. And so we can hear further from Mr. McTighe. The commission can decide how it wants to proceed. I made a recommendation to consolidate these two matters. I'm not sure that I really want that to be a part of what we do, but we can hear from Mr. McTighe first and discuss it further if that's what everybody would prefer. Mr. McTighe, it's up to you. You could, I think you're unmuted, but we can't see you and we all want to look at you.
I see him.
Oh, do you? I don't.
I don't either.
I see him, but he's muted. We
I
still
didn't
can't.
see him.
We still can't hear you.
I could mute him, but I haven't muted him.
No.
Still muted.
I can't see him or hear him. So if he's trying to, it sounds like Catherine, it sounds like you can see him talking, but none of us can hear him.
We can see him trying to talk, but there's no volume.
This is very odd. I can't see or hear him. I just see his initials.
I
I'm
can't
with,
either. I can't
I'm with
either.
Natasha. Don, you might want to try and get out and come back in, and we could always get back to your case later and start working through some of the other folks.
It
You
shows.
said okay.
Shows he's leaving.
Okay, all right, let's go to some of the other folks, and I'm just going to click on this. Oh, let me see. I think I can spotlight Alexander Carfault. This is case number 2019 R-110. It is the very first case in the ICWs that I sent you. I don't have it open. Oh,
It's
there.
number 5 under good cause.
Yeah, it is under, it's a good cause recommendation. The report was filed about a year late. The candidate, I synopsized the statement. He had less than $2,000 in his campaign. Did he become, only later did he become aware that a report was required for the annual for 2018. It also talked about certain personal trauma that he had. Mr. Carfault, if you would be sworn, you can make an additional statement to the commission, but my recommendation to the commission is that there is a violation of the statute, but for good cause, I am recommending that they not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. If you would be sworn, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Carfault.
By the way, I cannot see him. I don't know.
I can't
I
either.
can.
I can't.
I can see him.
I can too.
Highlighted, so I can see him. This is one where I can see him. And he's highlighted. To me, at least. Go ahead.
No, there-
Now I can see him.
At least some of us have a visual, so we know he's there in person. So why don't we hear from him?
Okay, and I might just say to other commissioners, if his name appears and you see the three dots, there's a little icon next to it about highlighting the person. That should bring the video forward. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I, again, apologize for my lateness in filing. Like, as was previously stated, I was unaware I needed to file beforehand since I had raised so little money. And with, I don't think it's necessary for me to go into the personal matter because it is stated in the affidavit, but if you would like, I could go into more detail as to what was going on with my personal life, which took away from my focus to the other responsibilities I had to this campaign fund. But I am asking for leniency in this since it was just this was my first time ever trying to get into political office. I ran after just looking into it and having belief that there wasn't proper representation for the people in my community on Cleveland City Council. And most of these seats are run unopposed, and as any good democracy has, there should be contested elections. So I ran in hopes of making a difference in my community, and I had no intention of any kind of defrauding of the Elections Commission or taking the donations for other things. In fact, I am planning on closing my campaign fund this year and donating the remainder of the balance to the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center so that other people that go through similar instances of rape and sexual assault, that my loved one that experiences sexual assault have the support they need when they need it the most. So I, again, thank you for letting me speak, and I hope that the commission sees to grant me leniency in this.
All right, thank you, sir, for appearing. We appreciate that. And thank you for your explanation. Does anybody have any questions? Hearing none, in case 2019 R-110, the executive director has recommended that we find a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. Is there a motion?
Right, so moved.
Second.
Cunningham, second.
Hoffman.
There's a motion made, properly second, to concur with the executive director's recommendation. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Again, thank you, sir, for appearing.
Thank you very much.
While Mr. McTighe has rejoined the meeting, I'm going to call up, I'm going to spotlight a different person. And hopefully that person will be, and I'm about to butcher this name, I think, Ayash Alcorn, who is the treasurer for Kedarites Unite to elect Panu Gornale. Our case number 2019 R480. It is in the 25. Oh, it's in the dismissed for failure of service category. As we came to this, I didn't have evidence that anybody had been served. I talked to the staff at the Board of Elections yesterday. The report has not been filed. With somebody present now, we can address this in some manner or form. Ms. Alcorn, if you would enable your camera so that the commission members can see you, that would be greatly appreciated.
I can see her, Phil.
I see
I
her.
see her.
I do too.
You got to love how this thing works.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Are you unmuted, ma'am?
Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear you. Yes, thank
Yeah, I
you.
can hear you.
I can very lightly hear you. And so If you would be sworn, you can make a statement to the commission. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Please proceed, but realize that as of yesterday, when I talked with staff at the Montgomery County Board of Election, the report had not been filed. Has there been any change to that, or what's your circumstances as it relates?
So as of right now, I actually, in between the time that the election happened and all the reports were filed, when I filed the post-general election, I did not realize that some of the forms hadn't been finished. So I had selected to dismiss the commission with that post-general election. So I had thought that everything had been finished at that point. And then I got the information that I needed to file for 2018. I thought this was, sent as a mistake, so I didn't file for that. I have been in talks with Catherine down at the Montgomery County Board of Elections. I have been working with her to try to figure out exactly what I need to do to fix the initial paperwork and then to also file for the 2018 year. As of right now, I'm getting all of the paperwork together, trying to organize everything, print off bank statements. I am getting ready to get the letter notarized that was asked for in the paperwork that I received. So that's why I don't have anything right now that I have sent guys.
But at this point, the reports have not been correct.
Correct.
I mean, and it's equal, or it's important that the commission get a response, because that's something I rely on to make my recommendation to commission members. But the most important thing is that the reports be filed with the Board of Elections. Do you anticipate doing that in short order, quickly?
Yes.
I mean, because I would then recommend that this matter be continued, and probably the next appropriate commission meeting would be February 18th, and you get this all done by then.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, then I would recommend to the commission that we continue this matter to February 18th to give them more time to file their campaign finance report and submit a.
So moved.
This is
Second, Beatty.
Okay. So we have a valid motion, a second on the floor, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion made and seconded to extend case number 2019 R-480 until the February meeting. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you for hearing.
Ma'am, before you go, can you give us your current address information, only because we have the question of service, so we'll make sure we're getting the information to you at the correct address?
Okay, actually, I have just recently moved. I still have my original address of 3509 Ascot Court, but I can also be reached at another address as well. That might be easier.
If you would go to the chat section on here and list that, my assistant can, who's monitoring the chat, can take down your address and we can make sure the proper notice gets there.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, now I am inclined, let's see if we can spotlight Mr. McTighe again, who is on the way and come back.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you and see you.
Great.
But I can't see him, but it's more important for you guys to see him, so who knows how we'll figure this out.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
There he
So-
is.
Morning, Don.
Okay. You all heard earlier Mr. Richter's synopsis of the response, the responses filed in the two cases. For the record, I am representing the complainant, Sherry Obrensky, in both those cases. I would request that the commission consolidate the two cases and set it for a hearing. Here's the reason, or reasons. First of all, in the first case, which Mr. Richter described as the disclaimer case, there's representations made in the response filed by Mr. Langdon. There is no affidavit. So first of all, the factual statements are not supported by any affidavit. He says that that the entity, the respondent, had an address at this virtual office space. He attaches what is an invoice, assuming that we can accept that without it being verified by an affidavit. I would point out that the document says that it is for the period October 14th to November 14th. That date, and it was paid for on October 14th. So that's all indicated on that supposed invoice. The allegations here are that this LLC, the respondent, was sending out materials using this address. Those started going out in late September using that address. In fact, this invoice that is attached comes about well after a media controversy had ensued from the mailings that were going out opposing the school levy. The Cranes Business of Cleveland did an article at the very end, or in very late September, about the mailings. And I would point out that in that article, and we have this in the complaint, by the way, which is sworn to, that Monique Horton is quoted in that article from Cranes Business in, again, late September. Monique Horton is the on-site manager of Spaces and Company, and she states, quote, Cleveland's future fund isn't on their list of tenants, virtual or otherwise. So obviously we have some kind of factual dispute here. And based on the commission's regulations, which provide that when there is a factual dispute as to a material fact, the commission is to set it for a hearing. I think that that's necessary in this case to resolve exactly what the arrangement was between this LLC and the virtual office space when that arrangement went into effect. Again, all we have is an unsworn statement by Mr. Langdon and a document, an invoice that is subsequent to the time period that we were talking about. So I would request that that be set for a hearing. On the second case, Mr. Richter summarized this as basically being about the LLC. The allegation is that this LLC is in fact a political action committee, easily meets the definition under Ohio law for a political action committee, has spent well over $100,000, this is in the complaint, through a series of mailings to residents of the Cleveland School District. I think there were, at least at the time that that complaint was filed, there were 8 or 9 mailings. We attached copies of those. You will see that those mailings all contain express advocacy, asking people to vote against the levy. In addition, the LLC paid for robocalls. The LLC had a website. The LLC had YouTube videos and also had Facebook ads. These are all, I'm just summarizing these quickly. They're all set forth in the complaint, as well as the content of all of these communications with the public. They contain express advocacy. Now, the Mr. Langdon, again, has filed a response. He's not filed any affidavit as to any facts, but he makes the argument that the LLC is a single person, meaning under Ohio law, an LLC, just like a corporation or a partnership, is a single person, and therefore it cannot meet the definition of a political action committee. The statutory definition of a political action committee is, as you are probably well aware, is a combination of two or more persons. So he says that regardless of how many people, human beings, are involved with this LLC and with this effort, the communications are by the LLC. The LLC is a single person under Ohio law, therefore, ipso facto, cannot be a political action committee. So this is a very important legal question for the commission. He seems to concede in his written response that there are multiple people involved. We do have in the complaint at least one of the funders who went public and indicated that there were others, but we only have the name of one. The legal argument, obviously, is something the commission will have to decide. I don't know if you've had the argument before, but clearly, if the commission were to adopt this analysis of the definition of a political action committee, you will not have any more political action committees. Everybody will just become an LLC. And it'll always be a single person. And there'll be no reports filed by PACs. That moves us to the question of course, that he makes, and Mr. Langdon makes the point that the LLC is required to file an independent expenditure report. And he claims that it did. Of course, that's a factual statement, not supported by any affidavit. He does attach a document that appears to be a FedEx delivery receipt. I would like to point out that nowhere on this receipt does it indicate a delivery to the Board of Elections of Cuyahoga County. It doesn't even have an address. It says sender, Cleveland, Ohio, or shipper, Sender, Ohio, recipient, Cleveland, Ohio. Not even a zip code. So, in addition, we have an affidavit in our complaint from my associate who spoke with Rosemarie Amato, who's in charge of campaign finance at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. And let's see here. He spoke with her, or he emailed her, he emailed her and then had a voicemail message from her on October 26th. That's 4 days after the filing deadline. And according to her voicemail message, they had not received any filing from this LLC, no independent expenditure report. So clearly we have a factual dispute on that issue. Of course, the larger issue is that underlying legal issue. So I would recommend that and request that the commission consolidate the two cases and set it for an evidentiary hearing so that we can resolve the factual issues and the parties can engage in further briefing, I think, on this very important legal issue that will affect disclosure under Ohio law. Thank you.
All right, Mr. McTeague, thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions of Mr. McTeague at this time? Hearing none, I would put a motion on the floor that case number 2020D-023 and 2020G-027 be consolidated and be scheduled for a future hearing.
Norman, second.
Any discussion on the motion? There has been a motion made and properly seconded to combine or to consolidate both cases and schedule for a future hearing. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
I think this is more appropriate maybe for a roll call.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Mr.
I can
Richter.
do
would
that.
you accept it?
Yeah. Ms. Kaufman,
Aye.
Mr. Kreitz,
Aye.
Ms. Cunningham,
Yes.
Ms. Tavares,
Yes.
Mr. Beatty,
Yes.
Mr. Norman,
Yes.
Chair Bromer.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
John,
let's keep- I'm
do we
sorry.
need to
go
talk
ahead.
about
You can say
timing
something,
settings
Scott.
for hearing? Do we need to talk about a timing for settings for hearing?
Well, we've got a variety of hearings to have. I got an idea of what I want to bring up at the next meeting. In the intervening period, I know I've got a meeting on potentially Elkins, and there are other matters. It would at least be probably March. I don't think it would go February. I presume you wouldn't have a problem with that, Don.
No, I don't have a problem. My associate will be doing the hearing.
Oh, real nice.
You know, Derek.
Yes. So I'll work that out and keep in touch with everybody. We're keeping Don here because, as Chris pointed out to me appropriately, and if all you members look at the second last page of what I sent this morning in terms of the working agenda, there is an updated ICW attached there for 3 cases. Case numbers 2019 S-020, 2018 S-013, and 2017 S-031. All deal with failures to file annual reports that have now been filed as of last May, it looks like. I synopsized the response that Don submitted just this morning from Mr. Carney, who is affiliated with the PAC, that explained why the reports have not been submitted, or why they had not been previously submitted, or timely submitted, I guess I should say. My recommendation is to consolidate all 3 of these cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $300. The commission can certainly hear further from Mr. McTighe on his client's behalf.
Thank you. I do have just a couple comments. These are violations in the sense that the reports were filed late. Some extenuating circumstances here. This PAC was established some years back by now former Senator Eric Kearney out of the Cincinnati area. The 3 cases here, the oldest involves, I think, the 2016 annual report being filed late. The last activity that this PAC had was in February of 2015, in which it had 2 expenditures that brought its balance to 0. It paid a $200 fine to the Ohio Elections Commission, and it paid bank fees. It had no other financial activity that year, and has been dormant since then. As Mr. Kearney states in his affidavit, the source of his misunderstanding was he thought that when he paid the previous fine, which was for, I think, a couple of reports again that were filed late, that he thought that was the end of it because the PAC was at 0, and he didn't realize that he had to keep filing reports. So I would request, based on the fact that this has been dormant for so long, that the commission find violation, but not impose a fine, or at least reduce the fine Any fine will have to be paid, obviously, by Mr. Kearney out of his own pocket since the PAC has no money. That's it. Thank you.
He certainly knew that he had to file reports though, correct?
Well, he thought, according to his affidavit, his impression was that he didn't have to file any more reports after the last round of cases at the Elections Commission, when he filed the reports, paid the fine. He thought that was the end of things. It was clearly wrong.
When was the PAC created, Don? When was the PAC created?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I actually tried, and I failed to ask him that. And I tried to look it up this morning on the Secretary of State's website. They have reports, the individual reports going back to, well, basically going back with 6 years. Okay, I think 2015. Is the last one that they have listed individually. If you want older information, you have to go to what's called on the Secretary of State's website, a file transfer, huge database, which I tried to access this morning and could not. So I don't really know the answer to that. There were the prior cases, Mr. Richter, and again, I don't have the prior cases right in front of me, but those might indicate, what earlier reports were and give you some indication of how far back the PAC goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll interject to say, as I look at my prior case listing, we had a late filing of the 2009 pre and post gen, so there's 2009, and I've been in touch. Actually, the Secretary of State's office has been in touch with me. I just got a text that said it was actually created in 2007. So it operated from 2007 on. Had a couple of cases before the commission. Of course, the state's wonderful online system. Oh, that's right. I can't, even though I'm attached, I can't get. I was going to try and go back and look at the recon case in January of 2016, obviously 4 years ago. I mean, I recall having conversations with Mr. Kearney at that time and bringing that back up. I was going to look to double check to see if there would have been any comment, or any kind of comment about terminating. My recollection is that there was not. Plus, it's not listed on the prior listing as, that we made a specific finding of termination, which is something that would have been included therein had I done that. So I think we just, he requested those matters be reconsidered. My recollection was there was discussion of him talking about terminating the committee, but obviously that did not get done. So my original recommendation to this, which commission members would have seen when they got the materials last Friday, was to impose a fine of $500 because we didn't have a response. You have submitted that response. I have taken that into consideration and have brought the fine down to $300, which takes into consideration the prior matter. Sometimes we can double it, but I didn't in this particular case. So that's kind of where we stand. If you have any additional comments you'd like to make, Mr. McBride.
No, not at all.
This is Norman. I move we follow the executive director's recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second, Beatty.
There's a motion made and properly second to follow the recommendation of the executive director in case number 2019 S-020. combine that case with, consolidate that case rather with 2017 S-031, 2018 S-013, find a violation and impose a fine of $300. All those in favor of that motion say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Don.
I should add, because I don't know if anybody, Phil, you knew this or not, but it has been officially terminated. And on the Secretary of State's website, the PAC is under the inactive category now. So,
Yeah, if you look at my ICW, Don, it reflected that.
right, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep, I was aware of that.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Don.
Bye-bye.
Be safe, Don.
The next case for which I am trying to spotlight the respondent who is present is our case number 2020 R-394. It's the last item under the $25 a day category. Catherine Iaconis. This matter was originally before the commission, I believe, in November. We continued the matter at that time to give additional time for the respondent. A response had been submitted. We continued it to give the respondent additional time to file the report. In my conversation with staff at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections yesterday morning, it was indicated to me that the report was not filed yet. That's why I made the recommendation that I did to find a violation, impose a fine of $25 per day. But give the opportunity to have reconsideration. Bear with me.
Katie, I can see you, but you're muted.
Can you hear me? I'm through my phone.
Yep, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, I did submit the corrected reports. I emailed them to the person I had been corresponding with, and I also sent them to Corey Milne just to make sure that they got them. I think that was last week or the week prior. I did not receive a response from them, but I did send them into them.
Katie, let's stop for just a second, because if you're going to testify, we need to swear you in.
Need to be sworn. Correct. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you. So you haven't gotten any kind of response? I can merely express to you what I was told by the person that I deal with at the Cuyahoga County Board. I sent her a laundry list of cases that we had on today, of which yours was one. And we talked about a particular couple of cases that I'm recommending that we continue. And she said none of the other cases had filed. So, I mean, that's the response that I got from Rosemary Amato at the Board of Elections.
So I had sent it on January 4th to the person who had been corresponding with me, Mary Bejani. She's one of the auditors who had sent me the corrections they wanted me to make. So I sent that back to her on the 4th. I also then sent it to Corey just to make sure that somebody else had it, because I had not heard back from her. So.
And you have not had any additional conversation with them at this point?
I have not. So initially I said, can I put all of the corrections onto one Excel sheet and send it back to you? And she said that would be fine. And so that's what I did.
Chris, do you have Mary's email? Not Rosemary. That's what I thought. I only have Rosemary's as well.
I can give you her email. I have it open right now if you'd like it. Or I can, should I send this to Ms. Amato?
Or why don't you send it to my assistant, Chris Hughes, Chris.Hughes, Hughes, at elc.state.oh.us.
Sorry, can you elc.state.ohio or
OH,
OH
just OH.
.us. Got
.us. Send that to him. Include Mary's email address on there and any other contact information you have. I'll put you back, unspotlighted as it were, and he can try and check with Mary and see if they're reflecting that the report's been filed.
Okay, then.
So, that's the best I can offer you at this point.
Do I just then wait to hear from someone or?
Well, yeah.
We're out.
Call
hearing.
Rosemary too. I'm talking to Chris at the same time I'm talking to you guys. Sorry. Call Rosemary too. And once you get it from her, and see, if she can check with Mary to see if that's okay.
So Phil, your initial recommendation was to find a violation and impose a $25. Given what Ms. Iacona said, should this case be continued?
Right at the moment, I was asking her to hold on. I was going to have Chris check with the board to see if they've gotten it and they're okay with it. He can try and, while we continue on with the meeting, he can try and see if board is, has it, and that Rosemary just didn't get the information from one of her assistants.
Okay.
I think what Phil said is he wants her to hang on.
So I asked,
Sorry, for clarification, is it Chris Hughes or just Chris Hughes?
Chris.
Hello?
I still hear you. I think the executive director may be frozen. But he did say
I
Chris.
think it was Hughes.
He did say that,
Okay.
yes.
All right, I'm forwarding it now.
And Katie, what he was saying was, he's going to unhighlight you, but he wants you to hang here during the hearing because he's going to try to see if he can get confirmation instead of continue your case so that we can continue forward with you in a little bit.
Okay, I will just kind of hang here in the background then.
It sounds great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, I think he disappeared altogether.
He may have. It's frozen. I don't see anything other than like a symbol up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, Scott, I'll be more than happy to drive to Columbus when this is all over and done with.
Get over with this.
I second that.
I have to tell you, from my perspective, when I start thinking about January, February, and March, and I can be down in Florida as opposed to Columbus, I don't mind doing this.
Good point.
But July 1st would be great. It'd be
Yeah,
a
no
good
doubt.
drive to come to Columbus.
Well, it's interesting when we finally unleash from all this and what happens, because I travel the state for my practice, and I have found that going to court appearances and mediations, it's saved a lot of time being able to just click a button and do this.
Yeah. There are definitely pros and cons.
Yep. I do miss being at the office, though. I shudder to say that.
We just, for whatever reason, seem to have a somewhat inordinate amount of problems with this technology.
There we go. All of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I disappeared. I wasn't trying to do anything.
So you're aware, Phil, I told Katie that we were going to try to get some information not to leave the meeting. You were going to unhighlight her and to hang on. So she's aware of that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. And Chris just left a message. Chris just left a message with, and he indicated to me he got her email.
Okay. She just put in the chat. But
I'm
So
slowly.
Phil, do
getting
we
back
have
here.
other people waiting?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know if I did something to either. I apologize, but yes, I'm about to call in. Hopefully, at least. There we go. Khalil Sarin, I'm presuming that is, I'm pronouncing it properly. It is case number 2019 R-504, item number 60. It is listed in the $50 fine category. My updates. Bear with me. I'm going to find my. Okay. Okay, Mr. Sarin, I'm going to swear you in, then I'm going to do a brief. If you would, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sarin, commission members, this is case number 2019 R-504. It's under the $50 fine category. The report was filed 1 day late. The candidate submitted a response. As the candidate was completing the report, he saw an error, tried to correct it. After correcting the report, he did not have time to make the trip to the board office, or he got to the board office late, I guess I should say, at the close, so he submitted it the next day. There are 2 prior matters, one good cause, one in which a $50 fine was imposed. Considering it was only 1 day late, the maximum fine amount for this violation, should we find it, would be $100. Considering his explanation and the efforts, my recommendation at this point is to impose a fine or find a violation, impose a fine of $50. Mr. Sarin, you've been sworn, so if you would like to address the commission further, please go ahead.
Certainly, thank you. I am willing to accept whatever imposition of fine or result of this situation. This was certainly not intended to be any disrespect to the Board of Elections or the commission. This was simply an error, and I tried to correct the error, and sort of the time that it took to correct that error was, I underestimated the amount of time that I was taking, and in the interim, I sort of basically didn't manage my time on that day as well as I intended, and just couldn't make it to the Board of Elections on time. I submitted it the very next day, so I would appreciate any leniency, and I understand that if the maximum is 100 and the recommendation is 50, I can certainly accept whatever the commission decides. But I take full responsibility. This was my error in time management. And frankly, the way that it turned out, I think the Board of Elections looked at what I submitted and thought there were errors as well. It was just a confusing situation that we had to figure out. Ultimately, we did figure it out, and they realized that the errors that they thought they saw were not actual errors, but it was a confusing situation for me as well. So I turned it in a day late. It was my fault. And I appreciate your hearing me. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sarin, thank you very much for your comments and for appearing before the commission. We always appreciate when folks actually take the time to appear on their behalf. It helps us out to make our decisions. In your case, which is 2019 R-504, the executive director has recommended that a violation be found and that a $50 fine be imposed. Is there a motion?
This is Norman. I recommend we follow the executive director's recommendation.
Beatty, second.
There's a motion made, properly second, that we follow the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. Mr. Sarin, again, thank you very much for taking the time to appear before us.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. There are, I'm going to highlight, well, let's see here. Ms. Iaconis. There was somebody present who subsequently just left saying he had to leave, but
It was number 25 under the $50 fine category, Scott Fanasio, and he.
Fanasio, yeah, I talked to him a couple times this morning. That is, if you look at the, again, if you go to the end of your working agenda, I just got a response from him this morning and updated my recommendation. I think it was a $150 fine. So to move it to a $50 fine, we had a prior that was dismissed because we didn't get service. You can see my synopsis of his response. The report was filed. It was about a week late, I guess. I don't know whether you guys would have been willing to go to a good cause because of his being present and potentially making a statement, or go along with my recommendation. But I'm not sure why he said he had to leave. I guess I didn't get. I was going to try and call him up real quick before he got away, but I couldn't quite make it. So I'm sticking with my recommendation. If anybody wants to add anything else, we could call that out separately, or we can just keep it with the $50 fine category.
This is Norman. In 2019 R-377, I move that we follow the executive director's recommendation and oppose a fine of $50.
Second, Tavares.
There's a motion made and properly second to concur with the executive director's recommendation. All those in favor of that motion say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to highlight this person whom I'm not sure who it is. It's listed as John Doe. And Mr. Doe, you are, if you're just here to observe, that's more than fine. But if there's a specific case that you wish to address, I ask you to unmute yourself and indicate that. If not, if you're just here to observe, that's fine. We'll go on with the rest of the meeting. Or if you don't want to unmute yourself, we'll just go on with the rest of the meeting.
I say we proceed.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, starting with the group consideration, staff attorney recommendations. I think the first case is 2019 S-022. Do you want to talk about that, Phil? It was withdrawn by the Secretary of State.
No, it's withdrawn. So all we need to do is acknowledge withdrawal.
I think I just did.
Okay, yes, you did. And that's satisfactory.
The next.
Yeah, go ahead.
The next case is 2019 R-352. You have indicated that that case should be, your recommendation is that case be dismissed.
Yeah, I'm getting back to that right at the moment, just to double check. My thinking on it. Oh, yeah. Unlike the case Mr. McTighe was arguing where he thought he had terminated, as I look back at the prior matter that was listed on this case, if you look at the ICW for 352, 2013 R208, which was for failing to file the 2012 annual, when we looked at that, when I went back and looked at that case, he had actually filed a termination report at that time. And so that that case was terminated with the filing of the 2012 annual report. So anything subsequent would not be appropriate. So that's why I'm recommending dismissal in this case.
All right. Any other questions of Executive Director Richter? Hearing none. In case 2019 R-352, the Executive Director is recommending that this case be dismissed. Is there a motion?
So moved, Kreitz.
Second, Norman.
There's a motion made and properly second to concur with the Executive Director and dismiss 2019 R-352. All those in favor of that motion? All those in favor of that motion, raise your
Aye.
hand or say aye.
Aye.
The motion
Aye.
passed.
There we go.
The next series of cases, the executive director has recommended that they be dismissed for failure of service. And those cases are 2019 R-339, 2019 R-349, 2019 R-376, 2019 R-402, and 2019 R-419. Is there a motion?
Move we follow the executive director's recommendation. Kreitz.
Tavares,
Second.
second.
There's a motion made and properly second to follow the, or to dismiss the aforementioned cases. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All those opposed, the ayes have it. The next cases, the executive director has recommended that for a violation be found, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. And those cases are 2019 R-346, 2019 R-475, 2019 R-516, 2000 S-007, and 2019 S-009. Is there a motion?
Norman, so moved.
Kreitz, second.
Cunningham, second.
There's a motion made and properly second. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All those opposed, the ayes have it. In the next cases, the executive director has recommended that a violation be found and that a $50 fine be imposed. Those cases, excuse me, those cases are 2019 R-341, 2019 R-345, 2019 R-354, 2019 R-355, 2019 R-449, 2019 R-459, 2019 R-476, and 2019 S-003. Is there a motion?
Cunningham, move that we follow the executive director's recommendation.
Beatty, second.
There's a motion made and properly seconded. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
In the next cases, the executive director is recommending that a violation be found and that a $100 fine be imposed. And those cases are 2019 R-329, 2019 R-334, 2019 R-436, 2019 R-460, 2019 R-468, 2019 R-469, 2019 S-014, 2019 S-030. And no, that's all. Is there a motion?
Norman, so
Cunningham.
moved.
Cunningham, second.
There's a motion made and properly seconded. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passed. In case number 2019 R-508, the executive director is recommending that case, that we reconsider 2019 R-020, vacate the previous findings, consolidate these cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $100. Is there a motion?
So moved. This is Charlita.
Second, Kreitz.
Motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. In the next cases, the executive director has recommended that a violation be found, and that a $150 fine be imposed. Those cases are 2019 R-336, 2019 R-350, 2019 R-381, 2019 R-404. Is there a motion?
So moved,
Okay.
Kreitz.
Second,
Uh,
Cunningham.
Motion made and properly seconded. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. In the next cases, the executive director has recommended that a violation be found and that a $200 fine be imposed. Those cases are 2019 R-371, 2019 R-373. Is there a motion?
Norman, so moved.
Second, Kaufman.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, hearing none, the motion passed. In the next case, the executive director is recommending that a violation be found and that a $300 fine be imposed. And that case is 2019 R-484. Is there a motion?
So moved, Kreitz.
Second, Norman.
There's a motion made and properly seconded. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, hearing none, the motion passed. In the next case, which is 2019 S-026, the executive director is recommending that we reconsider case number 2018 S-007, vacate the previous finding, consolidate these cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $300.
So moved, Tavares.
Second.
I
I
think
think
the
Scott
second
there
is-
first. Scott got there first.
All right. There's a motion made and properly seconded. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. In the next case, the executive director is recommending that a violation be found and that a $350 fine be imposed. And that case is 2019 R-338. Is there a motion?
I have a question. Phil, why did you recommend $350 on this fine?
Give me a second to find the case and I'll let you know that.
Thank you. I just looked at it when I was reviewing it and going, why are we recommending a $350 fine on this one?
If I get there.
It's okay.
Hey, there we go. An excellent question, if I ever heard one.
Never been directed toward me.
Oh, I know why. Prior case was $150 fine, which was paid. That was 2000.
Which was when?
2014.
Correct.
Okay. And so now here we are again, back again, late filing. General approach is double the fine. If they, depending on the circumstances, if they file a response, get everything filed, etc. Having not had a response filed with us at this point, then I tend to bump it up $50. And so doubling it to 300 and then putting in another 50 for the fact that there's no response in the case. That's why.
The only reason I asked, I think when I reviewed this is that I thought we generally kind of looked at like a 5-year look back window as far as violations.
Generally, yeah, I agree. Generally speaking, we do. And had a response been submitted, certainly that would have impacted my recommendation as well. But the fact that we didn't get a response, he was late again, That's the general approach that I've taken. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and lose any sleep over if you say you want to do $100 or, you know, 150, $50 even, but that's the basis that I used. And yeah, I did take it even though it was beyond 5 years, correct?
Okay. Well, I'm only what we've done as a commission going, we generally do a look back of 5 years, and the guy's been, we've not had a problem in 5 years, and this was near, how long did it take, how far out was he as far as the filing is concerned?
How late? About 4 days, what it looks like.
I'm going to make a recommendation that we find a violation, but instead impose a fine of $50 as opposed to $350.
And I understand that, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that.
Second,
All right.
Tavares.
All right, so in case number 2019 R-338, the recommendation or the motion is that we find a violation and impose a fine of $50. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I am interjecting here and spotlighting Ms. Iaconis again.
Okay.
Chris, and I'm just going to kind of read from Chris. Chris was in touch with the board, and he can interject if I'm misinterpreting what he is saying here. But he texted me that he talked to Mary from the Board of Elections, and that Ms. Iaconis did send in information on 219 Post General via email, but it isn't complete. According to Mary, it still needs bank statements, and original addendums need to be filed, and the 2019 pre-general report, in addition, needs to be addressed. Mary said Ms. Iaconis has been working to correct it, but it just may take a little more time. With this response, and Ms. Iaconis, I see you're muted, and that's fine. You can add additional comments at this point.
No, I'm not. I can.
She's on the phone.
Oh, okay. I mean, at this point, I guess I'd recommend to the commission, if the commission would decide to do so, you can either act on my initial recommendation in an effort to, with all due respect, Ms. Iaconis, put the hammer down a little bit, or let's continue this until the February meeting and give her more additional time to clear up the outstanding reports. Whichever the commission wishes to do is fine by me.
Go ahead, Ms. Iaconis.
I mean, with all due respect, thank you, but you know, I would have appreciated if I would have at least received a response that I could try to clear it up. If I thought I could combine every transaction, which is what I did. I apologize. I'm not trying to make excuses. My mom is my treasurer. She is very, very ill in the middle of chemo and radiation. We closed the account. I'm trying to get December of 19 statements from the bank. I have 1,000,001 excuses. I'm sorry. I work for a city. I'm the finance director. I just got through budgeting. I'm trying to close the year. So they were very minor mistakes on the report. I corrected them. I'm trying to get the statements. I'm sorry, but I don't want to put that on my mom right now because she's very ill. So she started the account, and I'm trying to get through to the bank and see if they will work with me.
Well,
Ms. Iaconis, go ahead.
I think what we're suggesting here is if you need more time, we're willing to do that, I believe. Will more time be helpful to you?
It will be if she actually responds and tells me what she wants me to do differently. I mean, I thought I addressed everything in the letters that were sent, but apparently not. I'll look back on them again and call her. They have all of my original bank statements and addendums and checks, and so I'm not quite sure what she's looking for. I'm sorry.
Well, at this stage, we, as a commission, if we're going to take action, we're probably going to find a violation. We have to impose something. But if we're giving the opportunity until, I think it's February 28th, which would be the next meeting for you to be able to do something, that gives you 6 weeks to get this wrapped up. And I would be inclined to say, let's give you the time to see if you can get it figured out. And so that
I
way,
appreciate that.
for us.
I'm going to interject to say it's either February 18th or I just looked ahead also to March 11th.
And which works best for you? Because this isn't one of the most pressing matters we have.
It isn't. I'm glad. At least I'm glad to hear that. You said it was either the 18th or March 11th.
Correct.
Those are the next two kind of meetings after. I mean, we got one coming up at the end of January 28th. That's a real short time frame. I didn't want to do that to you. And so that's what I was looking at, the next two beyond that.
I will take the 18th and be hopeful that I clear it all up with her between now and then.
Okay, so continue it to February 18th. You're okay with that?
I am, if that's okay with the commission. I appreciate it.
Okay.
This is Norman. I move we continue it to February 18th.
Second, Tavares.
In case number 2020R-394, the motion is to continue it to our February meeting. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. Ms. Iaconis, thank you and good luck in getting the information. I hope you
I
do.
appreciate it.
And I will say, Ms. Iaconis, if you need help, you can certainly reach out to Mr. Richter or to Chris Hughes, his assistant, and they may be able to help you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Chris, for taking that step to reach out.
Okay, getting back to the agenda, unless you have anyone else, Phil, that's waiting.
I don't believe so. No. I think, it's all us in trite form. I'm going to go ahead and briefly address the next case, only because I have a feeling some of you may have questions. It's an odd recommendation, but it's item number 32, case number 2019-416. Alfonso Narvaez.
Hold a second, Phil. We missed the cases above that.
No, we already dealt with
those were the ones that we dealt with
resolved
earlier that Don McTighe was present on, the Hope for Ohio cases.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
That's okay.
Sorry.
It's an odd recommendation where I'm recommending the imposition of a fine and also declare the committee terminated. As I was doing my research, and actually you can look to see whether reports are filed now at certain boards of elections, at Cuyahoga, at various places, and one of them was Lucas. And as I looked at Lucas County's website, they reflected Mr. Narvaez as being inactive. And when I looked into it a little bit, reports had been filed. As you can see, he's got a little bit of, if you look at the ICW, he's got a little bit of a history before us. But oh gosh, now I forgot to reflect when they reflected him as being inactive and that reports had been filed. I just put yes in there. Sorry about that. That's my own mistake. But in seeing that he was inactive on their website and that they were okay with what had been done in terms of whatever his reports had been filed, I thought it appropriate to just go ahead, find a violation, impose a specific fine amount, $500, and to have us declare the committee terminated so we can get this over with. So that's kind of the basis on what's behind my recommendation on this case. And if anybody has any other questions, I'm more than willing to respond.
Hearing no questions, in case number 2019-R-416, the executive director has recommended that a violation be found, a $500 fine be imposed, and that the committee be declared terminated. Is there a motion?
So moved, Kreitz.
Second, Cunningham.
There's a motion made and seconded. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion passed. The next case is the executive director has recommended that a violation be found and that a $25 a day fine with a reconsideration option be applied. And those cases are 2019 R-424, 2019 R-453, 2019 R-461, 2019 R-472, 2019 R-474, 2019 R-481, 2019 R-483, 2019 R-486, 2019 S-004, 2019 S-012, 2019 S-016. Is there a motion?
Norman, so moved.
Second,
Right,
Kaufman.
second.
There's a motion made and seconded to concur with the executive director's recommendation. All those in favor of that motion say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, ayes have it. The next case is 2020 R-425. In that case, the executive director is recommending that it be consolidated with case number 2020 R-068, find a violation and impose a fine of $25 a day with a reconsideration option. Is there a motion? I make the motion.
Norman,
I'll
second.
second.
Motion made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye. All
Aye.
those
Aye.
opposed, all those opposed, hearing none, the motion passed. In the next, let me see here. In the next cases, the executive director is recommending that a violation be found and that a $25 a day with reconsideration option with payment of $250. And those cases are 2019 R-348, 2019 R-359, 2019 R-437, 2019 R-446, 2019 S-025, and 2019 S-037. Is there a motion?
Norman, so moved.
Right, second.
Motion made and properly seconded. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed? All those opposed, hearing none, the motion passed. In the next cases, the executive director is recommending that case 2019 R-435 and 2019 R-507 be consolidated cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $25 a day with reconsideration option with the payment of $250. Is there a motion?
Cunningham,
So-
move that we follow the executive director's recommendation.
Tavares, second.
Kaufman.
The motion made and properly second to concur with the executive director's recommendation. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All those opposed, hearing no opposition, the motion passed. In case number 2019 S-035, the executive director is recommending that a violation be found and that a $25 a day penalty with reconsideration option with payment of $750. Do you want to speak about that one? That's a pretty...
Yeah, it's a little odd. It's mainly because of obvious priors. Let me find his case, 035. Mainly has to deal with priors. Down farther, Bill. 35. The last matter that the commission decided, again, Mr. Norman may point this one out, and he's welcome to do so. 2014 R-029, in which the commission found a violation and imposed a $500 fine, which was paid. But, you know, I guess you'd say I'm taking on my bureaucratic hat. Here we are again, reports not filed, no response submitted to the commission for failure to file the 18 post-gen. And so I'm recommending 25 hours a day, but also including that in order to get reconsideration option, to pay $750 fine, because that reflects the prior fines. And there was a prior fine, you know, prior to that as well. So, you know, if you guys want to go, just kind of do what would be more of a standard $25 a day with reconsideration option with 250 payment. I'm good with that, but that's the basis for my recommendation.
Well, it seems to me if he wants to seek reconsideration, he needs to at least respond and come back before the commission.
Correct.
So any other discussion on this case? Hearing none, the recommendation in case number 2019 S-035 is to find a violation, impose a $25 a day penalty with reconsideration option with a payment of $750. Is there a motion?
So moved, Kreitz.
Seconded Cunningham.
There's a motion made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. In the next case, 2019 R-509, the executive director is recommending find a violation and impose a fine of $8,725 plus $25 a day with reconsideration option. Any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Norman, so moved.
Kreitz, second.
Motion made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, ayes have it. In the next case, in the next two cases, 2019 R-384 and 2019 R-395. The executive director is recommending that a violation be found and that a fine of $17,850 plus $25 a day be assessed with a reconsideration option. You want to address that at all, Phil?
These are both for, I think, 2018 annuals, which would have been due, and I'm going to get back to it just to double check to make sure I'm speaking properly. 2018 annuals, which would have been due on January 31 of 2019. So you're effectively dealing with almost 2 years worth of timing. We got DeMonte Cole. Yeah, 2018 annual reports. So, you know, 2 year, about 700 days, 730 days, times $25. That's where you get the 17,850 from, and then $25 a day from here on out. That's what that number equates to.
It's simple math, yes?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. I'm with the following executive director's recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second, Tavares.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, there's a motion made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. The next case, 2019 S-001, The executive director is recommending that a violation be found and that a $19,000 plus $25 a day fine with reconsideration option be found. Any discussion, or is there a motion?
So moved, Kreitz.
Second, Kaufman.
There's a motion made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All those opposed, ayes have it. The next two cases, 2019 R-325, 2019 R-379, the executive director has recommended that a violation be found and that a fine of $71,400 plus $100 a day with a reconsideration option. Any discussion, or is there a motion? Or Phil, do you have something you want to say?
Well, just, going back to Mr. Norman's comment, simple math, 714 days at $100 a day comes to $71,400 because that's when those were due. And you look at the same, and looking at the next recommendation as well, where I'm consolidating, same thing there.
Norman, so moved.
Kreitz, second.
Motion made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
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 All those opposed? So moved. Motion passed. The next case is two cases, 2019 R-423, 2019 R-487. In those cases, the executive director is recommending to consolidate the cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $71,400 plus $100 a day reconsideration option. Any discussion, or is there a motion?
So
I
moved,
move the
Kreitz.
Go ahead.
Motion made by Kreitz, seconded by Tavares.
Thank you.
A motion was made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
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 All those opposed, the ayes have it. In the next two cases, 2019 R-439 and 2019 R-498, the executive director recommends to consolidate the cases and continue the matters to the meeting of January the 28th, 2021. Is there a motion?
So moved, Kaufman.
Second, Cunningham.
Motion made and properly seconded to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand or say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The next case is 2019 R-477. The executive director is recommending that this case be continued upon request of the respondent. Is there a motion?
Well, I was going to say you can do so, Mr. Chair, if you just want to continue it.
All right, I continue it. The last case then on the agenda is case number 2020 R-275. In this case, the executive director is recommending to reconsider the matter, vacate the previous imposition of the per diem fine, and instead impose a fine of $300.
Norman, so moved.
Cunningham, second.
Motion made and properly second to concur with the recommendation of the executive director. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. And that, Mr. Executive Director, appears to handle the business of the agenda.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. And I'll just quickly interject as in looking back at last year's minutes, you were technically appointed chair of the commission on January 23rd, 2020 by action of the commission. And Mr. Kreitz was elected to the position of vice chair at that time. Since the next meeting of the commission will occur after that date, your term will have ended because each chair can only serve for a one-year term by statute. So we're in a situation now where if you are to elect a new chair at this point, that person can begin serving as of at the next meeting, starting their service as chair at the conclusion of this meeting. And so we can address motions to appoint the chair, as I have indicated before. Well, a couple things I'll just say for the record. Mr. Bromer being a Democrat, a Democrat cannot hold the position of chair this upcoming time. It would have to be a Republican. Historically, the commission has taken the person who is serving as vice chair and moved that person to the chair position. That has been the history of the commission. If that is done, then we would ask that someone be nominated as to fill the vice chair position from the Democratic Party. Certainly, Mr. Norman has the ability to serve in any of those positions. Historically, though, before the commission, an independent has not held one of the leadership positions. Having said that all, is there anything else that you wanted to address the commission concerning Mr. Bromer, Mr. Chair? Based on our conversation of about a week or so ago.
No, I've rethought that, Phil.
Oh, okay.
Given the fact that we're on a report, I've rethought that.
Okay.
But what I would like to say is it has really been a pleasure and an honor being a chairman of this commission. It was strange times that we had this past year, and it was strange doing all this virtually, but nonetheless, it was an honor for me to occupy that position. And frankly, if it's appropriate, I'd like to place into nomination for chairman, Mr. Commissioner Kreitz.
Second, Cunningham.
There is a motion and a second officially on the floor to nominate Mr. Kreitz as chair. All in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye. And as a point of privilege,
you just vote for yourself.
As a point of privilege, I would like to nominate Mr. Beatty to be our vice chair.
Second.
There is a proper motion and a second on the floor to nominate Mr. Beatty as vice chair. All in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand, or both.
Aye.
Thank you, Otto.
Congratulations, Otto.
Phil, I suppose we have to ask them if they accept.
No, we just
shut out again.
They're stuck at this point. They're stuck when it comes right down to it. Thank you all very much for doing so. Greatly appreciate it.
Can you email me the Elections Commission crest so I can have my jacket made?
Don't forget to update your LinkedIn, Otto.
Yeah, it's critical to make sure everybody knows. I mean, considering, again, going back to the history, we can assume that you're going to assume to even more leadership positions next year, Otto. So, realize you can update now and update again in a year, but just to make sure you're.
Okay.
Well, with that, I guess I still are. Do I adjourn the meeting, or have I lost that privilege?
We've got to move to adjourn. I would move to adjourn.
Normally we move to adjourn. I will add too. Mr. Bromer, we did have a brief conversation a while ago that you had great concerns when all of this stuff occurred about having the shortest tenure ever as a chair, based on the fact that we went from February, where you conducted a meeting, to, what was it, July, I think, before another meeting was held. I was looking back at things, and because certain members weren't approved, the commission went from like February to like July or August during Mr. Basil's term, where we didn't have meetings. So he served even less time than you, and at least you got to have some remote meetings. in July and August, or, you know, meetings that Mr. Basil didn't get the chance to hear. So your term was not as short as you thought, as you feared it might be after you were appointed last year.
Well,
once all this was confirmed.
just for the record, I'm not suffering any remorse that I didn't have. I'm more than happy to see Mike take this.
As we can be clear, his term was the same length. He just had to preside over fewer meetings.
Fewer meetings, correct.
Well, there is that too. There is that too.
Ever the
All right,
lawyer.
is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
made and properly second. This meeting of the Ohio Election Commission is adjourned.
Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it. Have a good
Stay
one.
safe out there, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, take care. See you.
All right, I'll sit here and watch everybody sign out for a while, and looks like I'll get rid of a few. Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, I know I have been guilty. I have been guilty of hurrying the recording myself and trying to get to it faster than I should have while we're sitting here chatting, and I'm letting it roll. All this being caught. That the press person that was you're from Crane's Business, Michelle Jarbo. Oh, I did. That was Brian Katz.
Oh, that was?
Yeah. I'm going to ask him if in the future he's going to do that. Then I'll just make sure I don't make comments on it. This is interesting though, too. Well, yeah, I guess that would be the case even if I was home, if I was linked in at home.
And then there was, which I didn't realize it until about 5 minutes ago,
Yeah.
that Otto was in there under IC or IO Columbus.
Yes. I had a feeling that was him only because everybody else said they could see him. And I saw that there and I was thinking,
What was going through my very simple mind was that IO stood for Innovate Ohio. So maybe, maybe they're doing some type of demonstration on the website. That was what IO was Innovate Ohio.
yeah. I don't know. All right. Attached or responses received this.
I can tell this, I promise it's not too terribly happy.
Nope. Hey, I was gonna say, yeah.
Right. The host panel, she goes, it's busy. I never go. And so she was like, I'm sure, with the mail issues that we're all having, who knows, if like, lost mail or whatever, but I and it was hiding. And but she addressed all of the questions on that feed. And so we spoke to the question. Yeah. I mean, she's been working with us.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, yeah. So be it. Commission's willing to be generous. Yep. No, it's not.
Was she the one that you were talking about that had,
No. Well, no. The other one though, that, we ended up not getting it, she ended up not showing up was, that Stefania check from Lucas. She did accept my subsequent, sending out of notice meeting. But she didn't appear, and according to.
now, I'm curious. I'm relatively new to sitting in on meeting. I remember in the past that we had the $50.
Yeah.
Those obviously were generally first time not well responsive.
Yeah, I'm saying, doing that only because I have just turned off the recording. Okay.
And it was difficult. That change